Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 33 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine, updating the rules for some of our Necron units, and then in our battle the Necrons try and assassinate the Techpriest Dominus. Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we've got issue 33 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine for you today. This issue came with two paints. We've got Reichland Flesh Shade and Cryptek Armour Shade Gloss. But if you want to skip straight to the battle report, you can do so using the time code in the description below or the chapter bars. So opening up the issue, we start off with missions and motivations for your Adeptus Mechanicus forces. You can choose a holy order for the commander of your force to belong to, and it actually says that this will have some relevance in the game rules in a later issue. So it's the different orders of Tech Priests. There's Magos, Genitor, Logos and Artisan. You can also pick a mission goal for your forces, which is really just some background flavour that you might want to add. And then depending on which of the orders you picked for your Tech Priest, you can roll on these tables if you want, or pick a thing for their personal motivation. We have a similar thing for the Necrons. There's the ambitions of the Royal Court, conquest, personal glory or extermination, and their strategy, having awakened from their tombs. And again, some more tables on the back, depending on which of the motivations you picked. Then we have background on the Catan, a race of ancient star gods, effectively, who, I think as we've seen in a previous issue, came to Zarak the Silent King as they were losing a war and said they would help them win in exchange for immortality. But it turned out that immortality was actually a trick because most of the Necrons lost their personalities and were confined to metal bodies. But after they did indeed help win the war against the Old Ones, the Necrons got their revenge once the Catan were drunk on all the souls they'd devoured and attacked them and broke them up into shards, which they've now enslaved and bend to their will. There's also a bit about Tesseract vaults, which the Necrons sometimes imprison a Catan in and use its energies to power the machine. And there are some models there of some Catan shards. From left to right, we've got the Deceiver, the Void Dragon, and the Nightbringer, who were all originally individual Catan, but now are split up into these shards. We have some background on the alien race of the Orcs. Again, another sort of in-universe report. Orcs are brutish and bestial creatures that live only for war and fighting, and so there's not much point attempting to negotiate with them because they enjoy a good scrap far more than anything else. Orc leaders tend to be the largest and most brutal of their kind. They also have strange psychers called Weird Boys, and a bit about their technology, which is essentially just cobbled together from scrap, but somehow still can be pretty dangerous. Then we have the painting guide for our new two shade paints, although it also tells us to apply some more details to our Necrons. First up with Nuln Oil on joints and pistons on various models and weaponry, and some other sections there. Then using the Cryptek Armour Shade Gloss, it does say it's a thicker paint, so you should thin it down to 3 parts paint, 1 part water, applying that to the brass coloured areas of the Necrons, which gives them a shine and also a shade in the recesses. Then it says to use Reichland Flesh Shade on the flayed ones, where the flayed ones are draped with flesh, and then all the gold details on cloaks and whatnot. And then to thin it down again and apply that to the upper carapaces of Necron warriors and the Canoptek units. Just to change their hue slightly and also recess shade. It makes them look a kind of old and slightly corroded. And then we're applying Reichland Flesh Shade to the gold sections on all of our Ultramarines, and also the flesh of the Captain and the Assault Intercessor Sergeant, which finally gives them a flesh colour to their faces. And the Librarian as well. They do look pretty pale like this because it's the flesh colour straight over white, but I suppose it's better than just pure white, and we may get some further stages to improve the look of their faces later on. We also get another fold-out section with this issue about the horrors of chaos. So on this side it mentions the 4 chaos gods, and it shows some of their models, their demonic servants. The larger ones are their greater demons, some of the most powerful of their kind, and then there's also their foot soldiers of the various gods here, which all reflect their personalities. And on the back, more about the Chaos Space Marines, including the traitor legions themselves, which rebelled against the Emperor 10,000 years ago, and even though they were ultimately defeated, they still continue to plague the Imperium. Abaddon the Despoiler, the self-appointed War Master of Chaos, who has led several Black Crusades into the Imperium, and also a bit about warp storms, which is where the warp bleeds into reality and causes havoc with navigation, and also allows demons to more freely manifest in the real world. But that will be it for the contents of this issue, so now I'll hand you over to Mike and we'll have a look at our new rules and get into our game.
Now, as usual, before we can get into our game, we have some more data sheets. So we have expanded ones for the Technomancer and the Flayed ones. The Technomancer's mostly the same. There's a few new things like Dynastic Advisors, which isn't really going to be relevant in this game and will be explained later, but the important one here is Rites of Reanimation. And what this does is in your command phase you choose one friendly Zarrakan core unit within 6 inches of the Technomancer, and then you reanimate one destroyed model from that unit. But if it's a Warriors unit, you reanimate D3 models. But you can only select a unit for this ability once per phase, so if you have multiple Technomancers they have to use that ability on multiple units. And for the flayed ones, it's been quite a while since you've seen these actually. You can see they've got something called Dimensional Translocation, which is relevant soon. And they have an aura, Terrifying Foes, where enemy units have -2 leadership while they're within 3 inches of the flayed ones. And here you can see tutorials for both of these abilities. So you can see Rites of Reanimation works on the Warriors and the Immortals, and it will bring back D3 Warriors but only 1 Immortal. And the flayed ones there, reducing the Skitaris' leadership by 2. And just note that Dynastic Advisors and Command Protocols will be explained later on. And here we have more of the core rules. Here we have the ones for reinforcement. So we have seen this before with the flayed ones. It says that some units have a rule that allows them to be deployed as reserves. Dimensional Translocation is the one for the Necrons. Reinforcement units start in a location other than the battlefield because they have something that allows them to arrive later on. Or they arrive at the end of the movement phase, the reinforcement step. For the purposes of deploying units, deploying a unit in reserves counts as your choice for the thing, so you can effectively sort of delay deploying your other units by putting things in reserve. If you fail to deploy a reinforcement unit by the end of the game, it's destroyed. And also, once a reinforcement unit arrives, it counts as moving if they have a heavy weapon and they want to shoot it and they're an infantry unit. So even though it doesn't specifically say that that's the case, we think that their intention, I mean they even show the flayed ones there, that their intention is that you're able to deploy them in reserve for this game, so that's what we're going to do. And they have to arrive more than 9 inches away horizontally from any enemy units. And a few bits here about flying units and moving over terrain. So it's basically things we know so far. Any terrain that's an inch or less tall, models can just move over freely, but anything taller, you have to climb. And flying units can just move over models and terrain whenever they make a normal move, an advance move, or fall back, and they ignore vertical distances when doing the same. But if they're charging, you do have to take the vertical distance into account. And now we're on to the background for our game. So a small Imperial force is trying to retrieve valuable archaeotech and research materials from the manufactorums on Tsiphos. So they have a Techpriest Dominus with a small force of Skitari and Space Marines, but unfortunately the Techpriest has put himself in danger and the Necrons have sent an assassination squad to try and take out a key target. And so we're on to the next mission in the Scout mission pack called Besieged. And for our forces, for the Necrons we have the Technomancer, 3 Scarab Swarms, 5 Flayed Ones, 5 Immortals and the Coloptic Spider. While for the Imperium we have the Techpriest Dominus, the 10 Skitari Rangers and 5 Assault Intercessors. You can see the battlefield there using the map from issue 4 on the sort of reverse moon base side. In the centre of the battlefield we have the ruined manufactorum with 2 of the Munitorum containers either side. And the Imperium will set up in a circle with a 4-inch radius around the centre of the battlefield, so basically they're inside the ruin. And then the Necrons have 2 deployment zones, 3 inches along from each short edge. And deployment begins with the Necrons player, and then we alternate deploying wholly within our deployment zones. There's only one objective for the game, and that's the Necron player wins if the Techpriest has been destroyed by the end of the 5th battle round, or the Imperium player wins if he's alive by the end of the 5th battle round. So that's a pretty simple premise. We'll get the boards and forces set up and get straight into the game. So here we have the board set up and the armies deployed. I'll go over my deployment first. I've got the Skitari Rangers on the roof of the building. And then inside you can see the Assault Intercessors forming a ring around the Techpriest Dominus, who's just hiding there. And we'll start with the Necron deployment on the left hand side.
Yes, I've got the majority of my forces over here. We've got the Immortals with the Technomancer next to them, because they're the only core unit I have in this mission, so they're the only thing he can reanimate. Then we've got the Coloptic Spider and the Scarabs in the middle of that deployment edge. On the other side I put the Flayed Ones, partly to stop the Imperial forces just running away and hiding on the other side of the board, but also I didn't actually deploy them off the board to use the reserve rules for this game, because by deploying on the board they can actually move and be closer than they would be able to do by deploying with their dimensional translocation.
Yeah, and it's not entirely clear whether they intended to use it, but you might be better off not using it anyway. So.
Yeah, I think tactically this is actually the better option.
So it doesn't say who starts, so we'll be rolling off to see who chooses who go first in the first battle round. Necron choice.
And they will go first.
So we head into Necron's turn 1. And no canticles for me because I have a mixed Imperial force, so it's not an all Admech force. And even if all the Space Marines were to die and I only had Admech units left, I wouldn't suddenly gain them as well, just to point that out.
Nothing happens in my command phase. In my movement phase, everything has just moved forward to surround the Imperial forces. Starting at the bottom left, the Immortals have just moved up to those boxes so they can get some cover from it. And the Scarabs and the Technomancer have advanced up towards the building. The Canoptek Spider moved around the box in the other direction. It could have sat on top of the box, but then because of the rules we learnt in this issue, charging down the box would actually cost him more movement than going around it. It's a slightly shorter charge this way. And finally on the other side, the flayed ones have moved up 5 inches towards the building. And as you can see, this charge here would be a lot shorter than deploying them in the reinforcement step, being 9 inches away. And we'll open the shooting phase with the Canoptek Spider. It's going to put both of its particle beamers into the Skitarii Rangers. So 6 shots each, so that's 12, hitting on 4s. Only 2 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3, so 3's to wound. Just the 1.
3 plus save, because we get +1 from being in the building. We made it.
And then we'll do the Immortals. They're going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors. 10 shots, hitting on 3s. 6 hits, wounding on 3s. 5 wounds.
4 plus saves, so there's -2 AP, but we have +1 from being in the building. Mage 2, so that's 3 wounds, so that's 1 dead Assault Intercessor, and another wounded. I'm going to take away that guy at the back, put the wound on this guy in front.
And the Technomancer will fire his Staff of Light at them as well. 3 shots, hitting on 3s. 3 hits, wounding on 3s. 1 wound. Same AP.
4 plus save. Made it.
On to the charge phase. I'm going to do the flayed ones first. They're going to charge the Skitarii Rangers.
Yeah, I will choose to set to defend, because I'm in a defensible building.
Their charge roll is a 5. 5 inches is enough to get within 1 inch horizontally and 5 inches vertically of the sniper at the top of the building there, so they'll all kind of come in like that. Now we'll charge with the Canoptek Spider on the Assault Intercessors. And I'll declare the Skitarii Rangers as well, just because otherwise I can't technically get within 1 inch horizontally of this model up the top.
Yeah, because it's the 5 inch vertical engagement range. And the Assault Intercessors will set to defend as well.
I'm going to need a 6 inch charge. Oh, I've got a 7. And the Spider will come in like that.
And it is within 1 inch horizontally of the Ranger Alpha on the end there.
Yeah, so that is a condition of charging him as well. And then I'll charge with the Canoptek Scarabs. They'll charge both the Space Marines and the Skitarii Rangers as well. And they roll 9. And they'll charge like that, bringing both units in. This Scarab base here is actually closest to the Techpriest Dominus through the wall, so if he wants to heroically intervene, he has to get closer to that model.
Yeah. So yeah, the Dominus will stay just over half an inch away of the Scarab Swarm, this one here, so that the other Scarab Swarm here can't just fight him as well. So we'll go on to the fight phase, and all the Necron units get to go first.
I'm going to choose the flayed ones to go first, so they're going to pile in. And they'll pile in like this. The one on the end has used the benefits of Breachable to go through that pillar, and that means they can all get within 1 inch horizontally of the Skitarii Ranger on the roof, and they're going to put all their attacks on them. They have 3 attacks each, so that's 15, hitting on 3s, 6s cause an additional hit. 5 6s, and 3 misses, so that's 12, and then another 5, so that's
17 out of 15 hits.
Wounding on 3s, 12 wounds.
So this is 12 5 plus saves because of AP -1 from the claws. Made 4, so that's 8 dead Skitarii. So I'll just kill all of them apart from the Plasma guy and the Alpha.
And I won't consolidate with them because they're currently out of range of everything. I'll do the Canoptek Scarabs next. So they've piled in this way. The other one is actually stuck there because he's closer to the Techpriest Dominus and can't move any further. So that one will have to attack the Dominus, the other 2 will attack the Assault Intercessors. Attacking the Assault Intercessors first, we've got 8 attacks, hitting on 4s, but 6s automatically wound. 1 automatic wound, and another 4 hits. 4 hits wound on 5s. They all do.
Wow.
5 wounds with no AP.
5 3 plus saves. Failed 4, so that's 2 dead Assault Intercessors and 1 wounded. This man will die. I guess we'll take away this one, so these put the wound on the remaining regular man, so that the Spider can't try and pile into the Dominus.
And then the attacks on Techpriest Dominus, hitting on 4s. We've got 1 auto wound and no other hits.
There's 1 2 plus save. He saved.
And because they were already within melee range of the Techpriest Dominus, they're just consolidating into the building. Finally, we've got the Canoptek Spider attacking the Assault Intercessors. It's actually technically range of the Rangers, but the Intercessors are more dangerous. 5 attacks hitting on 4s, so that's 3. And wounding on 2s, so it's strength 8. Oh, got a failure, so AP -3.
2 6 plus saves. They're both dead. So both the remaining Space Marines go down. The Ranger Alpha, I'll do them. The Ranger Alpha will go for the Spider just for the sake of it. Plasma Man will try and punch the Scarab. So I did set to defend, so Mr. Plasma Man gets 1 attack, hitting on a 3, re-rolling 1s. He hit. Wound on a 4, because strength 3 against some 3, he failed to wound. Then the Ranger Alpha gets 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s on the Spider. We roll the 1. He gets a hit. He's strength 6, so falls. He didn't wound. Techpriest Dominus is going to attack the Scarabs because they're the only possible target. So we have 3 attacks from the Dominus, hitting on 3s. Oh, they all hit. Wounding on 2s because he's strength 6, yeah. Yeah, they all wound. No saves. That's 6 damage to the Scarabs. Well, one of them will die, so does it come back?
Nope, need 4 5+s. Oh, so he destroys an entire base and puts 2 wounds on another one.
Yeah, I killed a Necron model. In the morale phase, the Skitarii lost 8, so they're just going to instantly fail, so Plasma Man will run away, and then on a 1 or a 2, the Alpha will run away. So 1 or a 2, he runs away to attrition. No, the Ranger Alpha stays. But to be perfectly honest, I think we can see how this game's going to pan out, so I think I will actually concede before my first turn, because I have 2 models left. So, seeing as it might be a bit weird to have a game where I don't get to have a turn, we might try again where I get to go first and see if that makes a difference. So we set up again, deployments are a tiny bit different. Looking at mine, I've rearranged the Skitarii so all the expendable people are on the edge, so if they get charged I can kill them off and then the important people will be unengaged. And then in the middle there, I have the Tech Priest surrounded by a ring of assault intercessors so you can't get charged.
And on my end, one side of the board is basically still the same. The Immortals are there because that's the best firing position, and the Technomancer is just the other side of the Scarabs this time, still in range for his auras and things. And I put the flayed ones on the other side of the blue box, just for variety really. I don't think it's going to make that much difference.
Right, and since we're letting the Imperium go first this time, we'll go into Imperial turn 1. Well, my movement phase is very simple. All my models remain stationary, and that's it. So for my shooting, the 5 generic riflemen and the guy with the data tether are all going to fire their galvanic rifles at the flayed ones. And then the arc rifle, the plasma caliber and the sniper rifle are going to fire at the spider, and I'm going to supercharge the plasma. And then the Alpha's blast pistol is only in range of the Scarabs, so he'll have to shoot at them. Well, we'll do the important gun first. I'll do the plasma caliber. 2 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s because it's strength 8. 2 wounds, AP minus 3.
6+ saves. Nope, made neither, so that's 4 damage to the spider.
Yeah, it's got 2 left. 2 arc rifle shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. Oh, we're on that 1. Into a hit. Wound on a 4. Nope. And the sniper, 1 shot hitting on a 3, rolling 1s. He hit a lost. Can he wound on a 3? No. I'll do the blast pistol against the Scarabs. D3 shots. For 3. Hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. 1 hit. Wounds on a 3. It does.
No save.
Yep, so 1 damage. And then we have 6 rifle shots on the flayed ones, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. 8 hits. These wound on 4s because it's 4. There's 4 wounds there.
And 4 5+ saves because he's rated minus 1. Oh, I failed 4 of them. So just do reanimations on 5s. No, nothing at all. Only 1 flayed one left.
So just 1 flayed one left. We'll do the assault intercessors next, and they're going to fire all their pistols at the Immortals. Slight amendment to that. The soldier isn't quite in range with his plasma pistol, so he'll shoot at the Scarabs as well, and you won't overcharge his plasma pistol. 4 bolt pistol shots at the Immortals, hitting on 3s. 3 hits. Wounding on 5s. Nope. And then a single plasma shot, hitting on a 3. Good job he didn't overcharge, he would have blown up. Finally got the Tech Priest. He'll fire the Volkite at the Spider, and then he'll fire his Phosphor Serpenter at the Immortals. So 3 shots at the Spider with the Volkite Blaster hitting on 2s, getting 2 hits. Wounding on 4s, 6s do 2 mortal wounds.
Oh.
Well, there we go.
So it takes 4 mortal wounds and dies. Does it explode on a 6? No.
Then we have a single Serpenter shot at an Immortal that hits. Wounds on a 4, it does. Even on as 1.
There are some in range to receive cover, so we'll just put it on them, so 3+. Oh, 3rd anyway. Does it come back? No. We'll lose that Immortal.
Right, and that's it for my shooting. And for my turn, no morale test needed to be made for the flayed ones, because they'll leadership 10. And we'll be on to Necron's turn 1.
In my command phase, the damaged Scarab Swarm regains that wound because of living metal, and then the Technomancer can use his rights of reanimation. The Immortals are a core unit within 6 inches, so the missing one is automatically reanimated, so well, that'll do. And then in the movement phase, the remaining flayed one has moved up 5 inches, the Scarabs and the Technomancer have come forward, and the Immortals have just moved up to the box to get some cover. And then in the shooting phase, the Immortals are going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors again. 10 shots hitting on 3s, 7, wounding on 3s, 4 wounds.
4 4+ saves because cover. made 2, so 1 assault intercessor dies. The chap at the far back there will die.
And the Technomancer will shoot at them as well. 3 shots on 3s, they all hit. Wounding on 3s, they all wound.
4+ saves again, made 2, failed 1. So the chap in the back there will take a wound.
Then on to the charge phase. The flayed one will charge just the assault intercessors because he can get within an inch of one without getting within range of the Skitarii Rangers.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but there's an assault intercessor right up against the wall here.
So the flayed one's charge roll is a 4. That might not be enough actually. So that's not enough. So that's a failed charge. But then we will do the Canoptic Scarabs. They will charge both the Rangers and the assault intercessors. They probably need about a 3. Oh, a 9 again. And they'll charge in like that, one getting inside the building.
Yeah, and also the assault intercessors will set to defend. Should technically say that before the charge happens, but I guess it was obvious I was going to pick that. And that's the end of the charge phase. Fortunately, all the Space Marines are in the way, so the Techpriest can't do any heroic intervening. And the Scarabs get to go first.
And they'll pile in a little bit like this, and then they put all their attacks on the assault intercessors, because the Skitarii are now tied up. 12 attacks hitting on 4s, 6s auto wound, 4 more automatic wounds, and another 4 hits. Normal hits wound on 5s, another 2, so 6 wounds.
Yeah,
it's not actually too bad.
Who needs a Canoptic Spider? 6 3+ saves. I failed 2, so that's another dead assault intercessor. So wounded man at the back dies. I'll put the other wound on this chap here. So after some shuffling around on top of the building, all of the Skitarii except for these 3 riflemen at the back can get within an inch horizontally of a Scarab swarm. We've got 6 regular Skitarii hitting on 3s because of set to defend, and rerolling 1s because of the Techpriest. Well, good job we hit on 3s, that's 6 hits. And we wound on 4s though, because we're not very strong. That's only 2 wounds.
2 6+ saves. Nope, 2 wounds on a base.
And then we have 2 attacks from the Alpha. Again, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. We roll the 1. Into a hit. Wounding on 2s, strength 6. 1 wound, no save.
So that base is down to 1 wound.
And then the assault intercessors will go. Wounded man will just pile in a smidge. So we have 10 attacks with the chain swords, hitting on 2s because we set to defend. Oh, 1 miss. Wounding on 3s. There's a couple of 1s, so it's only 7 wounds.
So that's 1 wound, 5 wounds, and then 7 brings that one down to 2. Do they come back? 8 attempts, needing 4 5+s for a base. No, only 2.
And then the assault intercessors are actually going to consolidate through the wall to get towards the Scarabs, because if I stay inside the building they can't actually see the Scarabs to shoot them with their pistols. If I manage to shoot that thing to death, then the Skitarii will be free to shoot other things. But that'll be the end for Necron's turn 1, and we'll head into Imperium turn 2. In my movement phase we're not going to do anything. Yeah, the Skitarii are still engaged with the Scarabs unfortunately, so in the shooting phase these assault intercessors are going to have to try and shoot those Scarabs to death. Yeah, we're going to take the ultimate risk here, so I'm just going to supercharge his plasma pistol, and he hits on 3. He missed. Didn't blow up, but that also means we can't kill the Scarabs. His friend hit, wounds on a 3. He didn't either. So unfortunately that means the Skitarii won't get to shoot this turn, because the Alpha can't see with his blast pistol either. But otherwise the Techpriest Dominus is going to shoot at the Technomancer, I think. So we've got 3 shots with the Volkite Blaster, hitting on 2s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s, Dominus 4. That's 3 normal wounds, no 6s, so no mortal wounds.
4+ armor saves. Made 2.
Down to 2. Then a single shot from the Serpenta hits on a 2, it misses. Right, in the charge phase, I'm not going to do any charging, I'm going to take the risk. In the fight phase, these Scarabs get to go first.
The remaining base will put its attacks on the assault intercessors, because if I kill the 1-on-1 wound, that will be a success. Hitting on 4s, well, they all hit, but no auto wounds, so wounding on 5s. We've got a wound.
1 3+ save, come on, Space Marines, yes. And then all of the Marines get to fight back. 10 attacks from the Marines, hitting on 3s, getting 9 hits, and wounding on 3s. Yes. Well, there's 4, they just about managed it. So the Scarabs are wiped out. So the assault intercessors will consolidate a little bit, the 2 outside will move just to sort of block off that route through the building from the flayed one. And also importantly is the lookout sir is only 3 inches absolute distance, so if the Marine there on 1 wound wasn't there, the Dominus would not get lookout sir from the Skitarii on the upper floor. But with all that over, on to Necron's turn 2.
In the command phase, the Technomancer regains a wound from living metal. He will then move all the way over here, where he's actually closest to the Techpriest Dominus, and at the end of the movement phase he will heal himself his remaining wound with his Canoptech Cloak. The flayed one has moved across, really be a nuisance as much as anything else, and the Immortals will stay where they are. So then in the shooting phase we'll do the Immortals. They're going to shoot at the assault intercessors. 10 shots hitting on 3s, 8 hits, wounding on 3s, 6,
So we've got one guy in the building. He's wounded, so he has to take them. So I have to do these one at a time until he dies. So 4+, he's alive. 4+, still alive. Get it in the box, 4+, he's dead. So there's 3 left on the guys that are outside who have 5+ saves. Made 2. So the wounded intercessor in the building dies and the remaining normal man takes a wound.
And then the Technomancer will shoot at the Techpriest Dominus because he is the closest. 3 shots hitting on 3s, 2 hits this time, wounding on 4s because he's toughness 5, isn't he? Yeah. 1 wound.
1 3+ save because 2+ goes to 4+, then back to 3+. Failed, so he takes a wound.
And then on to the charge phase, the flayed one will charge both the Dominus and the Scutari because he has to get underneath the Scutari in order to attack the Dominus.
Yep. Both of my units will set to defend.
And he makes it. And it will come over there to try and limit the number of Scutari. You can hit him back from the upper floor. But then on to the fight phase where it will attack the Dominus. 3 attacks hitting on 3, 6s get an extra hit. We've got 2 hits. Wounding on 5s. We've got a wound with an AP -1.
3+, made it. I'll do the Tech Priest, he's not going to pile in. So we have 3 attacks hitting on 2s because we set to defend. They all hit. Wounding on 3s because strength 6. 1. AP -2.
So 6 to live. No.
And the flayed one dies. And that's the end of Necron's turn 2. On to Imperium turn 3. In my movement phase, the Scutari will stay where they are. The Assault Intercessors will move across the building, get closer to the Immortals. And up at the top, the Dominus will move out from the ruins to engage the Technomancer. I'll start the shooting phase off down here, where the Assault Intercessors will fire their pistols at the Immortals, and I won't supercharge the plasma this time. Once was enough. Can Sarge get a hit with his plasma pistol? Yes! And it wounds on a 3. It does!
With cover I have a 5+, which I failed, so it's 1 dead so far.
And then a pistol shot, missed. Will the Immortal get back up?
Nope. I'll take the one at the front away, make the charge a little bit longer.
Yep. Next, the Scutari will shoot all of their weapons at the Immortals, and they can all just about see one. I'll start with the Plasma, which I'm not supercharging because there's no point at all. Extra damage would just be wasted. So 2 shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s, getting a hit. Wounding on a 3, it wounded.
5+, nope.
So that's 1 dead so far. 2 arc rifle shots on 3s, that both hit. And wound on 3s, they both wound, AP -2.
4+. I'll make both of those.
Sniper shot, hits, wound on a 3. It does, he got a wound, AP -2.
4+. I'll make it.
Then we have 12 rifle shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. Only 1 miss so far. It's going to be 11 hits. Wounding on 5s. 6.
6 3+ saves with cover. Oh, they're all dead. That's 5. Oh well.
That will kill all the Immortals. And finally, the Techpriest Dominus will fire both of his weapons at the Technomancer. 3 shots from the Volkite Blaster, hitting on 3s because he moved. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, and 6s do 2 mortal wounds in addition. Just 2 regular wounds.
No cover from this angle, so he fails 1 of his saves and takes 2 damage.
And he got a pistol shot hitting on a... Oh, he missed again! It was hitting on a 2. Then the Dominus will charge. Yep, he's in. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 2. And wounding on 3s, getting 1. AP -2.
6+. No, he's dead.
Ooh, it's close. And the Technomancer goes down.
Only has 4 wounds.
It's quite convincingly an Imperial victory. So I guess we'll recap these games for you now. So that was the game for issue 33 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How did you think that went?
Very differently depending on who went first, funnily enough.
It was quite heavily in favour of whoever went first, because if Necrons go first, they can just charge and type the Scutari.
Yeah, the Scutari shooting was pretty dangerous once they actually got a chance to do it.
Yeah, killing the spider and most of the flayed ones, you were on the back foot then.
Yeah, in the first game it felt like it didn't really matter what I did, I just had to attack you and you would die. And in the second game it felt like I didn't really matter what I did, I would lose because you shot most of my army to bits in the first turn, so it was difficult to even say what tactics to use. I did want to put a unit on one side of the board to stop you just running the Tech Priest away, because otherwise you could have done that hidden in behind the container, and then I would have had very little time to actually get to him and kill him. So that was what the flayed ones were doing. And I wanted to keep the Technomancer near the Immortals so he could bring them back, and also near the Spider so he can fix it if it takes damage. As it happened in the second game, he got to bring back 1 Immortal, and the Spider died before he got to repair it. But then otherwise, Obviously, the Immortal shooting is good, and if the spider gets into melee, it's very powerful. And because of the way you had to set up in those ruins, it would have been pretty easy to tie up the Scutari on the upper floor simply by getting them into melee.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I could have fill out the top floor, but leaving an inch away from the edge, and then put the rest down the bottom, and then try and use the Space Marines as a living wall. But there wouldn't be enough Space Marines to do that. I think you'd get a Scarab in there. That's all you need. Once you tie up the Scutari, it would take them ages to fight their way out, and they'd probably lose against any of your units in melee anyway. I'm surprised you didn't shoot the Immortals at the Scutari, to be honest.
Well, I thought about it, but what I was afraid you would do with the Assault Intercessors is you just charge them into something and then hold it up for the rest of the game, because not only are they quite good in melee, there's also a lot of wounds and they're pretty tough. The fact is, my way of dealing with the Scutari was always going to be charging them with the flayed ones or with the Scarabs, and again, because of the way that engagement range works, I really only have to get something near the ruins and it's going to tie up anybody on the upper floor as well. I was hoping just to endure their shooting for a turn and then have them tied up for the rest of the game, but it just didn't quite work out because they did too much damage in their first shooting. The flayed ones actually did demonstrate what they can do, because previously they've only really been up against Space Marine units, which are difficult to kill with Strength 4 AP -1 attacks, even if you have a lot of them. But against the Scutari, they just minced through.
Yeah, it's basically made for fighting, well, I guess Scutari are more medium infantry, but medium and light infantry.
And especially things that don't hit them back. Assault Intercessors are actually better than flayed ones in melee, so they're not something I would necessarily want to take on.
I guess it's like the Assault Intercessors are really good against non-melee Necron units. And it's interesting that they tell us about reinforcements. They show that flayed ones have dimensional translocation, or whatever it is, but they actually tell us that that is the rule that allows them to be set up reinforcements.
It's possible they've actually printed it in a previous issue and were just forgotten because we didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but it's also quite possible that they just meant to print it in this issue and forgot. So it's exactly the same rule as we were using when we first had the flayed ones, when they just had a sort of tutorial version which explained in detail how it worked.
Although, to be fair, it probably would have been better to just deploy them on the table. Or I suppose if you had them in reserve, I couldn't shoot at them. That's one reason to do that.
Yeah, but I guess it's also indicative of the scenario as well, that they would have to be much further away than they could get just by walking.
Oh, we start far too close to each other.
We'll definitely see that in a later issue, because it is a handy ability in certain scenarios. It's kind of a good idea for a scenario, but I feel like it would have been better on a larger board.
Yeah, you don't put both of the boarding up so far together.
Yeah, if you put the ruin in the middle of two boards and then still started on the short edges, there'd be a lot more space to manoeuvre.
I think it's also kind of weird that they gave us the Technomancer with his, hey, you can bring core units back, but didn't give you warriors.
We've said a few times that some of these characters will be more useful once they get all their abilities. Well, he's now got all his abilities, you can see how useful he is. It makes up for the fact that he's mediocre at actually fighting things.
Well, I don't think there's too much more to say about this scenario or this issue. So as always, if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe, and leave any comments. If you played this game, tell us how you got on, or if you would do anything differently from us. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.